we saw, I believe, on Instagram. Can you read what it says?
Yeah, this is from New Zealand. It says, "Don't let Mpox scars ruin your nudes." And it's the ad has a picture of a gay man taking a picture of his cack.
So what they're basically saying with this is get your monkeypox vaccine so you can continue to fuck and suck gay guys without getting monkeypox and then monkeypox scars, so you'll be more comfortable sending pictures of your cack to other homosexuals.
Yeah, you can't let anything interrupt your super degenerate hypersexual behavior with other men.
Yeah, this is like end times shit.
I know. So that's why you need the monkeypox shit.
And they
Crazy.
say we're on the wrong side of history, but then this is who's on the right side of history and what's prioritized when you're on the right side of history.
Yep.
Very strange.
Yeah, brought to you by Big Pharma, you know, like whatever, or some foundation, some gay foundation.
Okay, I'm here with Nick Bryant, expert in child trafficking and Epstein, among other things. And Kurt Mexican is here, American's comedian, who is my favorite conspiracy theorist who goes down the rabbit holes. And I want to get your...
Just read books.
That's right. It's all out there. I just wanted to show you this. So Trump was asked about the Epstein files right in front of Pam Bondi. And let's just play it for you. Here it goes.
Sure. Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the
Yeah, sure.
So now this has been the biggest story in right-wing media, at least for the last 5 years. It's been a huge story. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi. Everybody's been screaming about this Epstein thing, and they promised they're going to give you the files. It's the biggest story ever. And here's what Trump has to say about this. And by the way, it was already, like we've mentioned in our last segment, the guy who, Alex Costa, who was prosecuted, the only guy prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein in Palm Beach. He was asked why he gave Jeffrey Epstein such a sweetheart deal, and he said, because I was told that Jeffrey Epstein worked for the intelligence agencies in the United States, and this was above my pay grade. That's why I had to give him that sweetheart deal. And so here's Trump's response to this question.
Ma'am, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things.
Don't you know that talking about something for years means that you should stop talking about it? Like people who want to bring an end to war. They've been doing that for years. Just look at the world. The more you talk about Jeffrey Epstein, the closer you're getting to photos of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, I guess. So that's why you shouldn't talk about it anymore. Anyway, he's got more to say.
Well, for the whole government.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
He can't believe it. Trump cannot believe it that you're asking a question. Isn't this
about Epstein?
About really the thing that you and everybody in your administration has been screaming about until they got into your administration, and then they all were like, nothing to see here.
I'm just worried about Iran myself. I don't even think about it, Jimmy.
Here is Trump. So he's big mad. So according to Power to the People, he says that, yes, that Trump is mad, and he's definitely on the Epstein list along with Bill Clinton. And yes, we're still talking about Epstein because none of the child rapists have been held accountable. And what this implies is that a child sex trafficking ring is being used to blackmail the most powerful people in the world, including in our country, including right now the Trump administration. So that's why they're being controlled. That's why we should still talk about it. That's why it's super important, because we already know AIPAC has that unbelievable influence and control of our Congress and Donald Trump's administration, and that Jeffrey Epstein was working for them. And so that's why this is super important, because this will keep going. Here's what Glenn Greenwald had to say about it.
How anyone who is a Trump supporter can listen to that and not feel completely condescended to and devalued and ignored is something I'll never understand. It wasn't the media obsessing on the Epstein case. It was Donald Trump's closest political associates.
Yes.
In fact, J.D. Vance bashed the media repeatedly for not asking questions about the Epstein case. He said anyone who's a journalist worthy of that term would be digging into all of this and demanding answers from the Biden administration about why these documents aren't forthcoming, about what information there is, about who's on that client list. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino went on every podcast they could find, including in Dan Bongino's case, his own, to talk about this repeatedly. We showed you all the video last night. By the way, I was on Breaking Points earlier today with Crystal Ball, and I'm sure every show did this, but they compiled their own video montage of huge numbers of Trump officials, Trump supporters, leading Trump influencers over the last 4 years, begging the table in an accusatory way, implying that the Biden administration is in on this predatory pedophile plot because they're hiding all the truth. And then Trump, when asked about it, a matter that his own movement, his own supporters, that Trump himself was asked about several times during the campaign, and said, yeah, I think that's something that probably should be disclosed. I'm going to look into this. Then has the audacity to say, how can you ask about something so trivial? We're dealing with important things like the flood in Texas and this great war victory, this 12-day war, this glorious war victory, this triumph that we bombed for about 30 minutes, Iran's nuclear facilities. And Netanyahu's here, and the two war leaders are expecting this parade in gratitude for this historic victory that they ended up waging. And Trump is saying, all these great things we're doing and all these tragedies, you're going to talk about something as trivial as the Epstein case? This creep that's dead? I mean, all the people raising the questions most loudly still are Trump's own supporters. His vice president, his attorney general, his FBI director, his deputy FBI director, his own attorney, personal attorney, who's now the U.S. attorney for New Jersey. And he's going to attack a reporter and demean a reporter. And that's as angry as Trump really gets in terms of like his visceral behavior. And I said, he exploded in anger at this reporter. And a lot of Trump supporters said, no, it wasn't exploding in anger. Whatever. That's a semantic thing. For me, I haven't seen Trump quite that animated in spewing anger toward a reporter, but whatever. The substance is what matters. And the substance is him suddenly now pronouncing that the Epstein case is not just trivial, but too trivial to even waste his time asking about. Now that his administration has said nothing there, nothing to see, move on.
So Glenn follows up by saying any attempt to heap all the blame on Pam Bondi for the blatant BS with the Epstein files, rather than admitting this was done by Trump as well, should end with this video. Trump is mocking the idea that any of this even matters, demanding everyone move on immediately. And here's Donald Trump before.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Will you work?
So he flew Rogan out a couple weeks ago, Joe told me, to talk about vaccines with him. And then he called RFK up on the phone. You don't think they already talked about vaccines? Why'd they bring you out before the big, beautiful bill? They flew Theo somewhere too, I found out. So that's a charm offensive before the big, beautiful bill, which passed. So it's done now. So now they can tell you to go fuck yourself with their, what are you going to do about it, stupid? Nothing. That's what.
So here's more people making a big deal out of it, even though Trump said it's no big deal. So not only is Vice President right there making a big deal out of it with Theo Vaughn, here we go.
With me on this issue, so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings.
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children going forward.
just last week, the president's excellent pick for FBI Director Kash Patel vowed to work with me in releasing the Epstein records and breaking apart the trafficking rings that harm countless women and children across our country.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. All this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York.
Yep.
So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Kash is going to get me and himself, really, a detailed report as to why all these documents and evidence had been withheld. It's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
I know the Attorney General has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she has made a promise in the past, she has kept it, and I'm certain that she will in this case as well.
Welcome back, everybody. 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Case closed. The Justice Department revealing Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide and insists there is no secret client list out there.
So, one more quick thing. Here is Max Blumenthal says, had the Democrats done Trump Epstein instead of Trump Russia, the Trump Russia hoax, they might be in power right now. Trump Epstein was the gut shot that the Democrats never took. And they couldn't, because Epstein had them on the books as well. That's why the Democrats couldn't play the Epstein angle, because Epstein had compromat and blackmail on the Democrats too. And that's why the Democrats had to invent something called Russiagate, which is a complete invention, a hoax. And it was always Israel. Israel was a foreign country controlling Trump. It wasn't Russia, but that didn't fulfill their narrative, because they wanted a war with Russia, because they always thought they could split it up and balkanize it and sell it off to BlackRock. That's what they always thought. That's
also, Hollywood, Jimmy. They own most of Epstein had most of the big celebrities too that said you're a conspiracy theorist if you talked about it.
And here's
I think that Diddy had a number of celebrities and sports stars.
Mm-hmm.
And celebrities have a lot of power in the society that we live in. With one tweet, they can change the attitude of millions of people.
Yeah.
One thing that people don't understand about Epstein is Epstein, yes, was a blackmailer. All his homes were equipped with cameras. But Epstein was a college dropout from Coney Island. His father worked for the New York City as a gardener. There's no way that Jeffrey Epstein by himself could blackmail the most powerful men in the world. He had to have had an organization behind him. And that organization would tell these guys that have been blackmailed, you cannot touch a hair on Jeffrey Epstein's head, or else there'll be retribution. That's the only way a college dropout from Coney Island, from a blue-collar family, can blackmail some of the most powerful men in the country, or in the world, I should say.
Also, my understanding is Ghislaine was the one in charge, not him. Her dad was Robert Maxwell. He was there to protect her. And I've heard victims say that. Do you know anything about that?
Ghislaine built the machine. And that machine was, it was a great white shark. It was able to get kids, and these predators, these super predators, their ingenuity to get kids is kind of mind-boggling. And then they get kids to get other kids, and then they get those kids. It almost works out to be like a Ponzi scheme for kids. Yeah. And the thing that I want to emphasize is I got the Black Book in 2012, and Alfredo Rodriguez was the house manager who purloined the Black Book. And he circled guys that he felt were in cahoots with Epstein. And that's, the Black Book is like a grail, especially the circled names. And we can get corroboration from Virginia Giuffre, one of the victims. She killed herself about a month and a half ago. But like, for example, Ghislaine Maxwell is circled in the Black Book, and Virginia Giuffre named her as a perpetrator. Les Wexner is circled in the Black Book, and Virginia Giuffre named him as a perpetrator. Bill Richardson, the former governor of New Mexico and also Clinton's energy czar, his name is circled in the Black Book, and Virginia Giuffre named him as a perpetrator. Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, his name is circled in the Black Book, and Virginia Giuffre said that he molested her very violently. Alan Dershowitz is circled in the Black Book, and Virginia Giuffre said that she had to have a number of encounters with Alan Dershowitz when she was a minor. And Jean-Luc Brunel, he ran a modeling agency with Epstein called MC Squared. His name is circled, and Virginia Giuffre said that he was molested by her multiple times. So we can get corroboration as far as these perpetrators.
Abercrombie and Fitch, Leslie Wexner Company, I don't know what the guy's name is. He ran the branch of the gay branch, I guess.
Well, the media has been so disingenuous covering this story. And Vanity Fair, and this gets kind of mind-boggling. Well, Les Wexner gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney over his entire empire. He gave him the keys. And whatever Jeffrey Epstein wanted to do with Les Wexner's billions, he could do. He had power of attorney. Vanity Fair, and I can't believe it, because Vanity Fair is a somewhat sophisticated magazine. Vanity Fair said the reason why Les Wexner gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney over his empire was because he was lonely.
I remember that. That was on the Netflix documentary. They implied a gay relationship and he got hustled.
I mean, how crazy is that? And Leon Black, who is also, Jeffrey Epstein pimped little girls to Leon Black, too. He was head of Apollo. He's a billionaire. And the reason why Leon, this is the mainstream media, and this is actually reported by various outlets. They said the reason why Leon Black gave Jeffrey Epstein $160 million is because Jeffrey Epstein was helping him with his taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy probably has 2 or 3 floors of accountants, so he doesn't have to pay an extra penny in taxes.
Yeah.
But he gives Jeffrey Epstein $160 million to
Guy
help
can't spell his own name.
So
I mean, that's our media. That's how our media is with this story.
Do you think, Nick? Just one question. Do you think that you know, the picture of him with his name spelled wrong? Do you think Epstein's even his real name? Like Netanyahu's had 3 name changes, so why not Jeffrey?
There's a lot of speculation about Jeffrey Epstein and his family, but I haven't been really able to nail anything down that's solid about that.
Right.
I acquired some pictures of him at Interlochen Art Camp when he was 16. And he would ultimately go on to molest some kids at Interlochen Art Camp.
Yeah.
It's in Michigan. It's in northern Michigan. And there was actually a Jeffrey Epstein Lodge at Interlochen. And needless to say, there's no longer a Jeffrey Epstein Lodge at Interlochen. And this has been going on for 2.5 decades. Jeffrey Epstein trafficked these girls for 25 years. And, you know, the thing about it is, as I said earlier, if Michael Ryder, the chief of the Palm Beach Police Department, if he wasn't a stand-up guy, I mean, he took a lot of heat and he got threatened. He had strange phone calls, but the dude would not back down. If it hadn't been for Michael Ryder, we wouldn't even know the name Jeffrey Epstein. He'd be trafficking girls right now as we're talking.
So here's a kind of a funny twist. Here's what Tucker Carlson has to say to Jeffrey Epstein. Ready?
I'll speak for myself. I never thought that I would be offering an apology to Jeffrey Epstein. I think all the times I've maligned that guy, all the times I've accused him of crimes, of blackmailing people, of trafficking children to powerful figures around the world on behalf of global intel services. And then I learned yesterday from Attorney General Pam Bondi, that's totally untrue.
Yes, yeah.
The guy killed himself after 36 days in prison for no reason. He was a billionaire. He had no clients. He'd done nothing wrong other than get like naughty massages 20 years before. And the guy killed himself, another pointless death. And then his best friend, former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, doing 20 years in prison for no crime. There are no victims.
Yes, it's a victimless crime. They're obviously persecuted by the state.
Yes.
They're political prisoners, really. It's The Hague should come in and do an investigation, or we're watching one of the most systematic government cover-ups of all time.
Since the last one and the one before that, the one before that.
Yeah.
It's always the biggest. There's a bunch of, go look 30 years in history. They do this all the time. It's not new.
But at least Epstein's not alive anymore, right, Tucker? I mean, and even though his bank account is still active, right? Do you know about that, Nick?
Yes, his bank account is still active. He made some good investments with Peter Thiel.
Ha ha ha! Really?
Wow.
Yep.
So how
Peter Thiel and Epstein did a little business together.
So
good
how
old Peter Thiel.
So
he gives great lectures on the Book of Revelation, I understand.
Peter is I don't really want to get into my thoughts on him but it's unfortunate that he sued Gawker into oblivion, because Gawker was one of the few outlets that would pay me for my stories on Jeffrey Epstein. Gawker was the only media that was willing to publish the Black Book. And I tried to get the Black Book published for 3 years, and Gawker was the only one that was willing to do that. And then once the Black Book was published, then the floodgates opened on it, and people wrote article after article, but only 2 outlets acknowledged me as ushering the Black Book onto the internet. But when we're talking about change in our system, I started an organization called Epstein Justice, and I would hope that your listeners and audience go to EpsteinJustice.com. And what we're doing is we're seeking a Truth and Reconciliation Commission from the Congress, an independent investigation. And what we want is we want an independent investigation by the Congress of Jeffrey Epstein. And what we have to do is we have to put a lot of pressure on our representatives and on our senators to make that happen, because we're going to need a majority in the House, we're going to need a majority in the Senate. But I think Epstein Justice, we can get enough Americans that are so outraged right now that all they have to do is go to Epstein Justice, and we put on webinars every month on how you can pressure your federal congressmen and women to do the right thing as far as Epstein Justice. And that's what we have to do, because the government, there's been 2 Democratic administrations, 2 Republican administrations that have covered this up. Regardless if they're Democrats or Republicans, they're going to cover it up. It's really up to Americans at this point to say, that's it, we're done. There's a line in the sand, and this has to be investigated. Presidential commissions have not done well. The Warren Commission wasn't very good. The 9/11 Commission wasn't very good. But congressional commissions have got things done. I mean, the church hearings were amazing in the 70s. They outed COINTELPRO. They outed the CIA's chaos. They outed a number of various malfeasance by the CIA as far as toppling dictators and assassinating people. So it is possible. And I believe now we have the internet, and we can use the internet. The internet has been used for a lot of nefarious things, but we can utilize the internet, and we can build Epstein Justice. And we've got a good team. We've got a good advisory board. As I said, I've spoken at a number of anti-trafficking conferences, and some of the bellwethers in the anti-trafficking world are on our advisory board. And it's really up to us whether we're going to take this or not. Are we going to just sit down and let the government cover up this huge child molestation network? And there's been other child molestation networks that have been covered up by the government, because I wrote a book about one of them. Are we going to do something about it? Or are we just going to let our government become a bigger sewer than it already is? I think it's up to us. We can do it. We, the people, can make this change. I really believe that.
And your website is EpsteinJustice.com, is that it?
EpsteinJustice.com, yeah.
Wait, so you're saying I should blackmail congressmen?
So let me ask
They
you.
only respond to one thing.
So here's the thing I wanted to bring up. So this was from February 2nd, 2024. Jeffrey Epstein's secret bank account is still moving millions and no one knows why. The New York Times reported that the bank had $693,000 in assets when Epstein died back in August, but received roughly $12.9 million in the months afterwards. The account was cleared out and left with just under $500,000 around the first of the year. So there's that headline, Jeffrey Epstein's secret bank account is still moving millions and no one knows why. Well, here's one from just July 8th from Niall Bradley. Says 12 million total was transferred from Epstein's estate after he died to an offshore bank account he had previously set up in the Virgin Islands. A lawyer told a local judge it was sent by mistake.
Whoops-a-doodle.
And the judge didn't believe him. The checks were for routine payments like cable TV bills and phone service for Epstein's many properties. More evidence that Epstein was in fact released from that prison, his death faked, and is currently living under an assumed identity under Mossad CIA protective custody. So that's his theory. That's not my theory. That's his theory. And what do you say about the bank accounts that are still moving money? Nick, what do you have to say about that? And what do you say about his theory that Jeffrey Epstein actually isn't dead?
My thoughts on the money. I thought that Wexner was giving Epstein power of attorney because he's being blackmailed. And I also thought that Leon Black was giving Jeffrey Epstein $160 million because he was being blackmailed. But over the years, I've kind of changed my tune on that. Wexner had a lot of connections to the CIA and also to organized crime. But I think that Jeffrey Epstein was laundering dirty money for these guys. That's what I believe at this point. I think that he was taking a cut. I mean, he might have been blackmailing some people, no doubt about it. But I think that he was a laundromat for all the dirty little deeds that our intelligence agencies do. I mean, that's the conclusion that I came to. And whether or not he's alive or dead, I don't even want to speculate on that. That we can get mired down. My whole thing with this is I have seen these networks at work, and I've seen just the carnage that's left in their wake with these kids. And we have to stop this. We have to make sure that our government doesn't traffic children anymore or doesn't cover up the trafficking of children. That's what we have to do as Americans, or we're just going to become a mudslide and we're going to go off a cliff. I don't think, now people might think I'm deluded. I'm not taking any psychiatric medication, but I believe that we can do this. I believe that Americans have the decency. And the other thing about the Epstein issue, children have been molested with impunity, and that's something that can unite the right and the left. And the right and the left are so heavily polarized right now that I believe it's the only issue that can unite the right and the left.
I think there's other issues, but yeah, I think definitely this is one that could unite the right and the left.
I don't think those are real things anymore. I mean, all the Democrat versus Republican bullshit I see about this, where Blondie, Crystal Ball's husband, is crowing about this, and I'm like, oh yeah, Kamala would have got to the bottom of it, dude. That's really a great point. They're trying to herd everybody back into their pens. You watch Ben Shapiro do it with the Kennedy. He goes, oh, I don't really care who killed Kennedy. I mean, conspiracy used to be a left-wing thing, and now it's infected the right. It's to get you back in your zoo animal pen of left and right. So I don't think real people are really falling for it the way it looks from media. I really don't. Because I talk to people that are like, what is this? I'll see people, now I'm in showbiz, right? So I'll see people that just want to keep their head down and do their job. And if everybody would stop doing that, you don't have to kill nobody. You don't have to do nothing violent. You could just stop lying and going along to get along every day, and it would just collapse.
The media and the government have worked together on Epstein very efficiently, but we know it's a lie now. So it's time for us to unite and make our legislators actually work for us, we the people, like they're supposed to, and do the right thing like they're supposed to. And this is something very definitive. This is not ambiguous. This is something very definitive that they can do.
So what do you make of this, Nick? So this guy tweets out, Wall Street's Silver says, Epstein banked with Chemical Bank. That's who he banked with, which is greater than JP Morgan. It's a big club. And then he links to this 2023 story. It says U.S. Virgin Islands subpoenas Elon Musk documents for lawsuit concerning Jeffrey Epstein's bank and JP Morgan Chase. And underneath here, it says the court order seeks any communication between Elon Musk and JP Morgan Chase Bank about Jeffrey Epstein, as well as between Mr. Musk and Epstein. And so then one more. And so this is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So if you see this, it says that the Commodity Futures and Trading Commission today issued an order filing and settling charges against JP Morgan Chase and Company and its subsidiaries for manipulative and deceptive conduct and spoofing that spanned at least 8 years and involved hundreds of thousands of spoof orders in precious metals and U.S. Treasury futures contracts on the Commodity Exchange, the New York Mercantile Exchange, and the Chicago Board of Trade. This case is brought in connection with the Division of Enforcement Spoofing Task Force. And right here it says, the order finds that J.P. Morgan's illegal trading significantly benefited J.P. Morgan and harmed other market participants. J.P. Morgan is required to pay a total of $920.2 million, which is almost $1 billion, the largest amount of monetary relief ever imposed by the CFTC, including the highest restitution and a civil money penalty amounts in any spoofing case. So what do you, that's
Alex Jones level settlement.
So what do you, so that was from September 29th, 2020. What do you make of all that, Nick?
Well, that U.S. Virgin Islands versus J.P. Morgan, that's been winding in court for quite some time. And with what we know about the Virgin Islands and Epstein setup there is that the American media doesn't really report accurately on this, as we've talked about, but there was an Australian newspaper that reported on Epstein's setup in the Virgin Islands, and they found that that there were 11 and 12-year-olds that were being molested on that island, and what happened. What caused the Virgin Islands to initiate that lawsuit was that the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, they said that J.P. Morgan had violated that with Epstein, and that ergo their lawsuit. But check this out: on the St. Croix is the largest city in the Virgin Islands, and their newspaper is called The Source. And this is a quote from it. Epstein offered J.P. Morgan access to such high-profile individuals as Prince Andrew of Great Britain, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, American billionaire and private equity investor Leon Black, former U.S. presidential advisor David Gergen, Israeli general and politician Ehud Barak, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the children of former Australian Prime Minister Paul Keating, Lord Peter Mandelson of the British government, the Agnelli family of Fiat Motor fame, and the ruling sheikhs, and this is kind of the crescendo, and Epstein is Jewish, but yet the ruling sheikhs of Kuwait, Bahrain, Dubai, and the United Arab Emirates, among others. So Jeffrey Epstein was locked in to all these entities and all these people. And that's why I've concluded that it was a huge, huge money laundering operation. And the Virgin Islands is suing because they say that J.P. Morgan facilitated Epstein's child trafficking, which it did. I mean, they knew what Jeffrey Epstein was about.
Okay. All right. Well, we got to move on. I really appreciate you stopping by, Nick. Everybody should check out your book, The Franklin Scandal.
Oh, Nick, wait. Have you ever seen the clip of Lewis Black, the comedian, on Tuesday with stories talking about going to Epstein's house with Bobby Slayton a long time ago before the charges. You know, he had the biggest house in New York. He walks in. I can't believe that nobody else made a big deal about this because I couldn't believe it. Loose Black said he went in. There was like a marker board that Jeffrey pointed to that looked like there was like playing, you know, like, I don't know, football playing. He goes, yeah, the defense minister of Israel was just here. We were going over some plans.
Okay, so here it is. I'll play it.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Okay, ready? Here it is.
And it was the kind of thing you go into when we got here, it's weird from the beginning because it's like you go in and he's got a whiteboard and there's all of this stuff drawn on it. And he goes, you want me to tell you what that is? And I go, yeah, well, sure. Bobby and I, he goes, you know, I had the Israeli defense minister here last night for dinner, and then he's got me and Bobby Slayton. I mean, what kind of a fucking, are you shitting me? And then he said, and so we were talking about, he was showing me what kind of defense systems Israel would use in case of attack.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what? First up, what is the Israeli defense minister? What the fuck is the matter? Why would you tell me this is already, now it's weird.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing else is weird, but I know this was like a honk, something is wrong in this house.
Sure.
This is a guy who's working on his defense many years before.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Right.
And
that's Major. Who's that defense minister?
Probably it could have been Ehud Barak or Netanyahu was the defense minister at one point too.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. All right, Nick, we got to move on. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Everybody go to EpsteinJustice.com, right? That's what it's called?
EpsteinJustice.com. Sign up for the next webinar. And we can do this. We can overcome this type of perfidiousness in our government. I believe that we can. I could be wrong, but I'm an optimist, and I believe that we can make this happen.
Okay. Nick Bryant, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you again soon.
Nice to
I'm
meet
sure.
you, Jimmy.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Kurt.
You too, brother.
Okay, over to Steph.
All right, great interview. Thank you, Jimmy. All right, EpsteinJustice.com. See the link, huh? We got that ready for you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Hey, just waiting for Pam Bondi to let us know JFK, MLK, and RFK were all suicides so I can get back to work. Ham Hock. Oh, hold on. Where is it? I got to get this in order. We got a gong. Here we go. We should start doing Kalshi bets on what time Jimmy's going to show up. Thank you. Don't forget to use the Jimmy Dore sponsor link. Chili up, haggle frat. Thank you so much. As a fan of the Sid Meier's Civilization game series, I really sympathize with the Anglo-American Empire desperately floundering to achieve anything. I've had a lot of rounds of Civ like that. Chili up, you're back for more. Hold on. There you go. Hey, Corn Pop, anyone in Kurt who was a guinea pig for GATE, video titled You Were Experimented On in School and Never Knew It, talks about it, and it mentions the pink drink that caused amnesia, which was used in MK Ultra.
Okay,
What?
I don't know if it caused amnesia. That could be a fluoride thing. And I don't know why you would be getting extra fluoride like that. That seems very strange, but I think it could be a fluoride thing, and that's bad in and of itself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know about them, you know. I mean, I don't remember.
I got to tell you, I never knew anything about MK Ultra and connected with GATE. I never knew, and
Why would you?
I was one of the well, you know, as I know, why would I?
Oh, as a teacher.
But as a teacher, they would always ask you to recommend, you know, who do you want to recommend? And, you know, I would recommend the brightest, the most creative types to that. Oh, my God, that's awful.
Yeah. Well, they were looking for something very specific, so I don't think I got to go to Mars or nothing cool. That's what.
All right, thank you.
I think I flunked out of it. I hope.
All right, here we go. Thank you so much. Here back. Brett Weinstein just announced that YouTube has recently restored monetization to his channel and restored his CVD related video post. Okay, thank you for that. My mother was a mystic camper, counselor, and lifeguard in the 50s and 60s. I've had plenty of friends go there as well as their children. Don't make so much of the name. They're great camps after all. Diaphonic. Thank you, Diaphonic. So America is basically ruled by the mob, and our response is let's resort to legal measures when dealing with the mob. Okay, thank you, Corn Pop. Okay. Oh, big sides. You wanted to ask Elaine Colati if she would abolish AB 2844, which prohibits state entities from contracting companies that boycott Israel. BC sides. Good question. Great question. Thank you for that. Richard Gaspar, thank you so much. The question is, if you hire illegal workers, why aren't the businesses being held accountable instead of the workers? It's a good question. I guess to keep us all scared. All right, what is this one? Pronounce Ghislaine. It's Ghislaine. I Googled it. Purple Mountain. Hold on, Purple. Let's get you a gong. Thank you for that one, Purple. All right, moving on back here. With all due respect, with all due, like when somebody says, with all due respect, you're like, uh-oh, crazy hair today. You're like, I know this is going to go terribly wrong. With all due respect.
Yeah, that's what's his name used to do that.
Was that Will Ferrell?
No. All due respect. Italian guy from Philly. I'm blanking out like an idiot.
Dom Herrera.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, Dom would do that with all due respect.
All due respect.
With all due respect, you're a big fucking piece of shit. All due respect.
You can show Jimmy.
That's what he would.